Hi, I'm Malia McNaughton, CEO and founder of Made by Malia Jewelry, based in Brooklyn, New York. I have been an entrepreneur for 6 years, and it's just been such a labor of love to create pieces that can empower people, empower myself to know that I can push myself to my fullest potential and my fullest limits. And I'm so excited to share this journey, bring you on this journey now, because you are in for a ride. So stay tuned.
You were recently featured by CNBC, the article called How I Saved 30K in 2 Years. How did you do it?
Ooh, how did I save $30,000 in 2 years? So I would say that it really started with a change of mind. And how I did it was I realized that I deserved more. I deserved abundance. I was an entrepreneur for 4 years, and I had just been really working really hard to build my brand from the ground up. And I woke up one day like, I'm tired of being broke, but struggling, but all these things, and I wanted abundance. And so I started reading a book called You're a Badass at Your Finances, and it really just taught me that I deserve everything that I put my mind to. So you can be an entrepreneur, and you can have abundance and prosper in the midst of building your brand. And so I also realized that as an entrepreneur, it's important to focus on your personal finances so that when that abundance does come to you, you're ready for it. So what I did was I really just sat down and started from where I was at that moment. No shame, no more bashing myself, no more excuses. I really looked at the numbers. What did I have in my account? And at the time, in my savings account, I had $500. And I realized that that was not enough to build the empire that I wanted to build. So what did I do? I went back to the drawing board. And I'm so happy that I did that, because 2 years later, I have a nest egg, something that can help me build my brand, something that I can survive in the midst of a pandemic. And I'm looking forward to building that to $100,000. $1 million. And I accept abundance now, whereas before, when you're operating from a place of lack, you are rejecting and repelling the things that you deserve. So of course, everybody says, I want to be a millionaire, I want abundance in my life. But what you really don't realize is that if you've never sat down and really had those tough conversations, you probably aren't allowing abundance to be attracted to you. And so it really was a change of attitude for me. It really was a change of mindset, and going from a place of lack to a place of overflow.
Describe the moment you changed your mindset.
So the moment I changed my mindset was when I saw that I had been doing the same thing but expecting a different result. So I am taking these, what at the time I thought was inexpensive Uber rides. Like, oh, I'm gonna take an Uber, it's fine. I'm going to, go to this brunch, go to this lunch. And what I didn't realize was that over time, especially in a city like New York City, it is expensive when you do those things very often, and when you're not paying attention to what your budget is. So, I also realized that like having a budget isn't limiting, it's actually freeing, because you know what parameters you're working within. And so I'm not a financial expert, I'm not a financial coach, but I realized that I wanted freedom. And what financial freedom means to me now is not that you have to have $1 million in the bank, we're gonna get there, but it's really about knowing what you have to start with and what you are working with. So if you have $100 in your account, you don't have $101. Like, let's be real. What do you actually have to start with? And then just really paying attention to like where you want to be and how can you get there, and not bashing yourself or feeling shame if you're not there yet. I think there is beauty in having enough money to pay your basic necessities. I think there's beauty in even at the times where you don't have it, being able to survive. I think that survival is underrated, and we want to get from the survival to the thrive. So that's what we're going to talk about.
What advice would you give to someone that is trying to get out of their debt?
So the advice I would give to someone who is trying to get out of their debt currently is to put everything on paper. What I did was I started with an Excel spreadsheet. I put all the credit cards, all the balances, all the limits, all the interest rates. When I did that, it helped me build a picture, so I know what I'm working towards. And then I was able to see where I had been making mistakes. So if there's a credit card, for example, with 30% or 29% interest and the balance is $100, like, you need to get rid of that card. And so what my financial coach helped me realize is that you should be focusing on the debt with the highest interest rate first, and not necessarily work at the one that has the highest balance. So those are things that I would recommend. Again, I'm not a financial coach, not a financial expert, but from my experience and what I realized from doing it myself is that you have to look at where you are. If you don't know where you are, you can't get anywhere else until you get past where you are.
What should entrepreneurs focus on personal finance?
I think that entrepreneurs, especially the creative ones, right? Like, we are so focused on birthing something that will bring joy to the world, that will empower those around us, that we don't realize that our personal financial journey is interconnected with our business. Because if you can't manage whatever number you have in your personal account, how do you expect to attract investors to your business? How do you expect to manage your business finances when those invoices come in? Quote to Jay-Z. You have to really sit down and think, like, if I want to build this brand to $1 million, if I cannot manage $10,000 in my personal account, how can I manage $100,000 in my business account, and so on and so forth? So I think it really is just like, I heard this quote recently, someone who said, as a creative, you should be as organized in your personal life so you can be as creative and free in your creative life. And I believe that. As someone who was not necessarily the most organized in the past, I see the benefits of really sitting down and organizing all aspects of your life, including your finances.
Overcoming the challenges. Share how you've almost gone broke building your brand and why you are so passionate about it.
So, I almost went broke. As a matter of fact, I did go broke, because $500 in your savings account, I mean, blessed to have anything. But I think that what I noticed was that I was so focused on building the brand and the big picture that I wasn't really taking the time to look at the very intricate parts of building the brand. So, for example, there are things that you have to deal with as an entrepreneur, like inventory management, and you also have to deal with fees for pop-up shops, and you also have to plan for travel and all those other things that are associated with it. And so a lot of times, like, yeah, you want to focus on the creative part, like, absolutely. I was, unfortunately at the time, imbalance in how I was focusing. So I was focusing too much on the creative, too much on big picture, and not enough on the intricate details. And once you get those intricate details figured out, you can go off and now I can be like super creative, and I'm not beholden to or restricted by my financial resource restrictions. Because as a Black woman entrepreneur, at times it can be difficult to secure financing. It can be difficult. Listen, we ain't starting out with no inheritance. We ain't starting out with no, major family investments. And so we have to do what we have to do as women, as Black women, as creatives, to really build that financial platform that we need in order to catapult us to where we deserve to be. Because let's be real, like, we got the sauce. And so because we got the sauce, we got to make sure that we are fostering that and really building that to where it deserves to be.
Why is legacy so important to you?
Legacy. Whew. Legacy is so important to me because I feel like your legacy is what you leave when you no longer are here. So when I cease to exist, whenever that is, my legacy will be my brand. My legacy, that's why it was so important for me to name the brand Made by Malia, because I wanted it to have the significance of legacy, creating that seal, something that could go for years and generations to come and be a lifestyle heirloom brand. And so legacy is important to me because I think that your legacy is tied to your family, it's tied to the message you want to be left with people when you are not in the room. And so your legacy goes beyond like years and centuries down the line. It's presently. What do people say about you when you are not around? What impression do you leave? That's what legacy means to me. What impression do I leave on you, whether it be through my jewelry, whether it be through my friendship, through my partnership, like what do I leave you with?
Final thoughts?
So my final thoughts would be that I really just want to give a shout out to everyone that has been a super mega supporter of myself, of my brand, of what I'm building. It took me a minute to get to this place. It took me 6 years, if not more, to get to a place where I am in my flow and where I see all the possibilities that I always felt were there, but I didn't necessarily see them. And so I just want to say that this is a journey that we're about to embark on. Y'all thought the last 6 years was crazy. Y'all thought the last 6 years we were featured and placed and here and there. You just wait and see, okay? How's that?
Yes.
Whew.
Nice.
All right.
Doing great so far.
Thank you for the positive affirmation.
Alright. What should entrepreneur... Wait. That's a hard word.
What do entrepreneurs?
I got you.
Thank you. I felt creative. I'm feeling okay, thank you. I need him on all my steps to encourage me. Oh, we banging this out.